Hi everybody, it's Thomas here from thomasfitzgeraldphotography.com, and today I am taking a look at shooting with the original Fuji X100. Now, the X100 is actually a few years old at this point, but it's still a really good camera, and more importantly you can get it pretty cheaply on the second-hand market now. So if you're looking for a way to get into the Fuji system, this could be a reasonably inexpensive way to do so. So one of the things I really like about this camera is it's very small and it's very light, and yet you get a really good image quality from it. It's not an extran sensor, it's a standard bare sensor. It's a 12 megapixel, so obviously it's not nearly as good as some of the newer models, but the image quality is still really good, especially for such a small light camera, and this was quite revolutionary in its time. It was one of the first kind of premium compacts to come along that offered this kind of quality that was absolutely as good as a DSLR. Another thing about the X100 is that the lens hasn't changed significantly since the original version. So this is still the nice f2 really sharp Fujinon lens. While wide open there may be some slight softness, and it's generally pretty sharp even at f2. There's some really nice bokeh with it, so you can actually get lovely depth of field effects even though it's a 35mm equivalent. Another nice thing about the X100 is it actually has a really good macro mode, so you can get some lovely close-up shots with it, and again the really good lens gives you some lovely bokeh, and you can get some really nice separation between your subject and the background. Like Fuji's X Pro series and the newer X100 models, the original one also had the hybrid viewfinder, and in fact this was the first Fuji camera to do so. The hybrid viewfinder is a great advantage when you're shooting in bright sunlight because it's a proper optical viewfinder, yet you get overlaid with important information like frame lines, distance, histogram and so on. The optical viewfinder does have its limitations though, and when you switch to macro mode it switches to the EVF. Unfortunately the EVF in the original X100 is not nearly as good as the ones in the newer X100 series or even the X Pro series, or in fact any of Fuji's cameras. The one big disadvantage of the X100 compared to the newer models is that it is very slow. The camera takes ages even just to turn on, and there is a significant shutter lag. So if you're trying to use it in situations where you need to react quite fast, it is not the best camera for that. The autofocus is slow, but that's not really the bigger issue. The camera is just slow overall. So even when you take a shot on manual focus, there's still a lag between when you press the shutter and when the actual shot is taken. So if you're in, say, a crowd and you're trying to shoot street photography and everything is moving, it can be very difficult to get the shot just right. That's not to say, of course, you can't use the X100 for street photography. Like any camera, once you're aware of its limitations and you learn to work around them, it can actually work really well. I've shot street photography with it many times and I've been very happy with the results. Not only that, it's also very useful for other types of photography as well, and particularly for things such as travel photography where you don't want to bring something big with you. It's perfect in that respect. So there you have it, the Fuji X100. It's still a great camera, and a great bargain second hand. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, and we'll see you again next time.